No, Brian, thanks for having us, and thanks to everyone at BASF for having us, and especially thanks to the superintendents for joining this panel. This is a awesome group, and we'll put them on the spot here. No, just kidding. The first thing we want to do is that BASF has a social media promotion going on, so please share one thing you learned from today's panel session on Twitter using hashtag BASF Groundbreakers and hashtag GIS 2020 for a chance to win a pair of Costa sunglasses. I don't wear sunglasses, but I heard those are pretty sweet. So 2 winners will be randomly selected this evening and notified via Twitter. So the first thing I want to ask everybody is describe where you work for people in the audience that aren't familiar with it, and describe your path to your current position. And we'll start with Eric.
All right, I work at St. Clair Country Club, which is in the South Hills area of Allegheny County, which is just south of Pittsburgh, about 9 miles south. St. Clair's a 27-hole club. We have a championship 18-hole golf course and the Terrace 9-hole course. We grow lots of POA, so we have a lot of problems there with it. And yeah, so that's what we do.
Jim?
Jim Roney, thanks for having me here today. At Saucon Valley Country Club in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. That's about an hour north of Philadelphia and an hour and 10-15 minutes west of New York City in the Lehigh Valley. We have 60 holes of golf, so it's kind of a unique full-service country club. We have we're hosting our 8th USGA championship in 2022 when the U.S. Senior Open comes to Saucon on the old course. And then you asked me about my path, how I can't even answer that. I've been working on a golf course since I was 15. Every time I tried to find a different job, it just wasn't fun, so I went back to the golf course.
Jim, what do you do with the 6 extra holes? 60 holes, that's kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, well, the 6-hole course is actually pretty neat. Once Bethlehem Steel built the golf course back in the 20s, and as it got busy, the golf course got busier and there was more interest to grow the game with the kids. They decided to build the 6-hole course, and if they had to break 100 in order to play one of the 18-hole facilities. So that's kind of the brain behind it. It's worked because now what we see is a lot of use on the 6-hole where people are coming out and doing 6 holes and dinner or something like that, and it's a real family oriented kind of outing at the club.
Well, that's a club way ahead of its time because we're seeing a lot of that out in the industry. Ryan, describe where you work and your career path.
Yeah, I'm at Oyster Harbors Club in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. We're right in the middle of Cape Cod. Got a little bit easier in the gym. We only have 18 holes to deal with, so that makes it a lot easier. I started as a kid working on the golf course. I was at Hyannisport Club and pretty much worked my way up and down the East Coast. I was up in Myopia Hunt Club and Portsmouth up in New Hampshire, National Golf Links on Long Island, and then was able to come back to my hometown really at Oyster Harbor, so that worked out really well.
Ryan, let's make everybody here jealous. How awesome is Cape Cod in the summer?
It's a beautiful spot year-round, a little quieter in the wintertime, and that's not such a bad thing.
And Robert, you're last.
Thanks. My name's Rob. I'm from Canoebrook Country Club. It's a 36-hole private club in central Jersey, about 25 miles west of New York City. Been there for 8 years. I graduated from Rutgers program and recently got promoted to director of grounds.
Okay, we're going to put you on the spot. How tough is it fighting traffic going home in the afternoon?
It's all about timing. I mean, getting there in the morning is no problem. Driving home is not great.
Okay, we'll get to some turf questions. Sorry for this, and we'll start with Robert on this one. What type of turf grass varieties are you and your team maintaining, and what are your biggest disease concerns in your situation?
Sure, so we're a 100-year-old golf course, 36 holes. It's a BOA Pent, but it's pretty much all POA. And for the greens, primarily it's anthracnose, and fairways and tees, dollar spot.
Ryan?
Yeah, very similar. We're a 100-year-old golf course, so bent POA pretty much all over the place. Certainly manage the POA, and anthracnose on our greens is probably the most challenging disease that we face, and then dollar spot on fairways and tees.
Jim, I think your courses are the newbies in this group. Just to explain the growing environment there.
Well, 60 holes, so I've got 2 golf courses with bent grass greens, bent POA fairways, and then I have our 6-hole course and our Grace course are predominantly POA greens. Diseases that we really struggle with is dollar spot, mainly on fairways and tees, like these gentlemen mentioned, and then I can't really say, even on my POA greens, I mean, anthracnose was an issue, but it really hasn't been an issue over the last handful of years, so I can't say there's a lot of issues on the greens right now.
I grew up near St. Clair Country Club, so Eric, tell everybody how hilly the golf course is and what concerns that causes disease-wise.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh's hilly. I don't think we have a flat acre on the golf course. Sorry. So yeah, we deal with just about everything. We're wet. We have a lot of clouds. So POA is a big problem, or we have POA. So anthracnose is a big problem on our greens. Dr. Vargas has worked with us a little bit on it, and I saw him in the lobby this morning, and he said that he's been able to get some anthracnose like us, like what we have gone, and nothing seems to work on it. So we deal with this really tough anthracnose. Dollar spot, a little bit of brown patch. We have some pythium, but we're wet. Like I said, we've had some wet summers recently in the hills. The topography creates a lot of challenges. High spots are dry, low spots are wet, and a lot of shade issues. So that certainly just makes every disease problem that much worse.
How closely do the four of you follow the new innovations and solutions coming into the golf market, especially on the spray side? And what factors do you consider when implementing something new such as Maxtima and Navicon Intrinsic into your program? And we'll start with Eric.
Yeah, so we generally try everything new on a really limited scale, see if it works, develop some comfort with it. But we do, we need to be able to rotate chemistries. There's not a lot of new things coming on the market, so when we do have something new, we want to get it in the toolbox and try it as quick as we can. We were excited when we heard about Maxtima. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, we don't like using DMIs on the POA. There's some unwanted growth regulations, some phytotoxicity issues. So we're always very cautious with DMIs. And we weren't having a tremendous amount of success with them on the anthracnose. So we did some trials, worked with BASF, used it, saw great results. And it worked on some of this chronic anthracnose that, like I said, we've been unable to stop. So the new tools are important to us, and in that case, it's our fix, it's our solution.
Jim?
I would say with a 6-hole course, we have the ability to test anything that comes out. So I always reach out to the major manufacturers, and I try to get my hands on anything so that I can mess around with it. We've killed some grass out there in the 6-hole, but the one thing that I won't do is I don't go, jump in the deep end right away. I really want to see how things are performing and evaluate that with my team before I go out and spray it on one of the championship golf courses. But it's really exciting when you look at, especially the products with BASF. We look at safety is a big issue for us, whether it's user safety or environmental safety. And then in addition to that, the lower inputs with the greater residuals. And the fact that now that there's a DMI, because I'm exactly like you, I won't spray a summer solstice to the end of August. I'm not touching one. So it's exciting with some of the work that I've done with the new DMI that's available. It's great for us. I mean, rotating chemistry is the key. And if you look at all of the SDHI technology that's out there, it seems like that's where all the new products were. So now to see that there is a whole different frac group that we're able to use in the summertime, I think that's going to be monumentally huge for us moving forward.
Ryan, are you one of those superintendents that tries it early?
Well, and I think to some degree, you you always want to be careful with just going out with a new product. I've had a great relationship with BASF and Peter Jacobson, so I've always felt pretty comfortable using those, their products. Obviously, we start out slow and see how they work, but I think I echo these guys' sentiments that, with a DMI for a long time, it's been, not something you really want to use in the summer. So to have this new DMI, a new tool to use, is pretty exciting. And, it's in its infancy, it looks pretty good.
Robert, you're fairly new into your position. Talk about what you've done to set up your program, and where do Maxtima and Navicon Intrinsic fit in so far?
So far, they've fit in very well. We typically are always looking for new options and chemistries that can help us be successful. We like to rely on our vendors and research from local colleges to give us some feedback on products before we try them. We love looking for new things, but like these guys said, it's kind of on a limited basis when we get started.
So I don't think I've ever met a superintendent who wants to go first with trying a new product. Does anyone here know anybody like that in their market?
I know a couple, and they ended up getting a lot of money because they had to cut a bunch of trees down.
All right, that's a tough response to follow, but when you look at your programs, and Jim alluded to this, but Robert, how big of a hole was it not having a lot of DMIs available, and how curious are superintendents about that class of chemistry when something new comes out?
Yeah, I think it's huge for us. It was obviously something that we didn't want to spray DMIs. We were scared of the growth regulator and the high temps and having a negative effects on the turf. We were lucky this year that we had Rutgers and Dr. Clark came to Canoe Brook and did a test trial for us. So that was something that was beneficial to me personally, to see it on my property and be successful. And 2 weeks after that trial, talking to Dr. Clark, I felt very comfortable spraying it on the greens and the fairways, and it ended up being probably middle of July. It was like the hottest time of the year and had 0 negative effects.
Yeah, Ryan, what type of gap was not having a DMI available, or a lot of them available in a rotation?
Yeah, certainly. You got limited choices out there, and you're trying to rotate products and rotate chemistries, and stay ahead of resistance issues. So it's nice to be able to have a different chemistry that you can feel comfortable and feel somewhat safe using in the summertime. With the intrinsic brand products that BASF has, it's nice, just the overall cumulative effect of turf health, and you want to keep stuff healthy, and you feel pretty comfortable using this product.
Eric?
Yeah, it's nice to have a DMI, another choice, another chemistry. They were always unpredictable for us. I think that was the biggest issue. You could spray them sometimes and you wouldn't have an issue. Another time you'd spray it, you would. Things would be done exactly the same, similar weather. So it's nice. It's something different we're going to be able to work in. I think we're going to target like a June app, try and get it out there early before the disease really gets going. And it allows us to rotate some of the other good working chemistries, use them a little less, and hopefully avoid resistance issues longer.
Jim, we had a great conversation this morning with a quartet of researchers about fungicide resistance. How much do superintendents think about it, and how big of a concern is it for somebody in a situation like yours?
It's a huge concern. I think it's something you always have to be cognizant of when you're making your, developing your chemical program for the year, ensuring that you're alternating chemistries, and the timing of the applications that I find. And I look at the golf season as beginning of June in my region to late October, and if I can look at the calendar and make an application and then start counting backwards from when I know that I'm getting out of that difficult period in the summertime, that's huge. And if we can do that and still alternate different types of chemistries and frac groups, this new DMI that we can throw out at the end of June or even 4th of July, that buys us 20 days. That's monumental. That's huge.
Ryan, how big of a concern is resistance on Cape Cod?
Very big concern. I think it's a big concern for everybody. Old superintendent I used to work for used to say, spray and pray, baby. And, it's a lot more complicated than that. So you really have to be careful about what you're using, changing your chemistries, and, just having, like I said, this this product available makes it a little bit easier. And I think for a lot of us, certainly up on the Cape, Memorial Day to Labor Day, that's our window. So we really got to, stay on top of our game and make sure we're paying attention to what we're spraying, when we're spraying, and to just have another tool in the chest certainly makes it a lot easier.
Eric, we had a discussion this afternoon with the warm weather panel about establishing a spray program and who's involved. How do you do it at St. Clair Country Club? Is it a team effort? Are you just doing it? Is it something you involve your assistants in?
I mean, I think it's a big team because Martin Albright, who's standing right there, he's involved heavily in our spray program. And Martin and I talk through a lot of things. We've worked together a long time, and he kind of guides me and helps me. We talk about what we've done, what we're going to do. Resources, people like Scott Waltz, he's helpful. Some of the vendors, Jeff Gregos, I think, standing here, So it's a team effort. All the people from the people that make it, the people that sell it, the people that spray it. We try and get all that feedback, talk to some of the professors, and talk to our friends. Probably one of the best resources of the other superintendents. That's how we develop it. And then once we think something's working, we're going to stick with it, and it's probably going to be hard to displace it. But that's sort of the process. Collect information and then make a program.
Yeah, Jim, you've sent a lot of assistant superintendents on to head superintendent jobs. How involved do you have them in the spray program?
Oh, they're very involved. I mean, our program starts now. We're talking about what we're going to do. Obviously, participating in the early order program is a wonderful time to start discussing some of the things they're going to do, and I just kind of pass that on to the team. And having 60 holes, I've got 3 superintendents and 13 assistants, so any given day, something crazy could happen. So, and I have to, it's just me. I can't get around, so I rely on that. So as it comes to, each day, scouting and looking at the golf course, and we have certain thresholds that we maintain, I rely on that feedback to make those adjustments.
Robert, with being new in your role, how much involvement did you have in setting up a spray program before you became the director?
So I did have some involvement as an assistant. I was lucky enough to be in those discussions talking about our programs, and I think going forward it'll be the same way. It's a team effort, and I think more eyes and more opinions are only better. I also rely on the guys from BASF like Paul Romina and, like I said, some consulting fees from Rutgers and other guys to contribute as well.
Is there anyone from BASF we have not mentioned yet? These guys are doing a great job of name dropping here, but on a serious note, Ryan, we'll start with you. How rewarding is it to set up a spray program, set up a cultural program, set up an agronomic program, and get through a season disease-free? How rewarding is that for you and your team when that happens?
It's great. Yeah, I know it's a challenge. Obviously, goes out to it's a comprehensive plan, and I've worked for a lot of great superintendents, and I've learned a lot from all those guys. So it's like you said, it's a cultural program, it's a spray program, it's a total agronomic issue that you're trying to encompass. So it's a very cumulative process. But anytime you can get through a season and you've gone without a lot of disease and the conditions have been good and the members are happy, everybody's happy. So that's the goal.
Robert, how did you feel at the end of last year? It was your first season. How did it go for you, and what was the vibe going into your second one?
So this is my first one now, just a month ago. But obviously, that's our goal, and that's why we do what we do. I mean, everything we work on all year, starting now in the off season and preparing for, is our goal is to provide the best conditions for our golfers and their memberships and their guests.
Eric, you've been through a lot of seasons as a superintendent. What is it like at the end when you get through it and know that the programs you put in place produced?
It feels good. I mean, you said, what's it like to get through a year, or I think you said disease-free?
That probably never happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what that's
bad
like.
word
yeah,
choice
we
here
get
by
lots
the
of disease.
moderator.
But no, it's good. I think you look at it every year. You look at what worked, and then you change stuff for next year. But it's always, you feel like you won something when you get to the end of the year and you made it. Putting the program together that's successful is great. It's rewarding, and you feel good about the choices you make, and it makes life much better.
And how about you, Jim?
I don't think I can answer that question. I've never had a season where I felt comfortable or happy with any of the decisions that I made. I'm always evaluating everything, and I always think we can make it just a little bit better. That's where I need my team to kind of walk me off the ledge or talk me off the ledge a little, which happens. But we're our biggest critic, I think. So as long as our level of expectation is higher than our memberships, then I'm usually okay. So that's kind of how I guess, weigh it out.
This will be for each one of you. Where do you want to be at the end of 2020? Where do you want your golf course to be? Where do you want your crew to be? Where do you want to be mentally? What would be a dream year in your situation?
Drier than the last 2 years. Better than the last year. Better than any year we ever had, I guess, I think, just having a successful year, everybody being happy, having enough people, having a good team, happy golfers and good weather. I think that's what I'd like to see happen. And, that's really the goal every year, get a little better and make sure people are having fun and they're happy.
Well, Jim just sounded like the golfer who shoots 61 but does the post-round interview complaining that he didn't shoot 60. So, on a serious note, where do you want to be in October? I mean, for you, I don't want to use that S word that we just used, but what do you want to evaluate? What would you like to see at the end of the golf season?
Well, I think we're going to do a few things different this year based off of some of the feedback that we witnessed with some of the decisions we made last year. So I think for me, the peaks and valleys, if I can help to kind of, create some plateaus in there, that would be ideal. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So if I'm in October of 2020 and I think there is, the highs and lows were kind of manageable, then I'm happy.
Ryan, when all the summer goers leave the Cape, where do you want to be?
I'd like to still be at Oyster Harbors, hopefully still employed.
Yeah, it sounds like a sweet place.
Like a lot of these guys, it's, every year you run into challenges, whether it's disease, traffic patterns, wear, issues. So, you learn something all the time. Every year you try something, to get a little bit better, maybe make a little tweak. We have a great, association, so our colleagues, we can learn a lot from them, see what's working, and, see if you can apply that to your golf course. But, ultimately, if we can continue to be stewards of the environment and, we're a private club, so we do a lot of preventative applications, but, if we can stretch those out a little bit, that would be great. And, continue to try to just be a little bit more efficient in all our operations is ultimately what we want to do.
And Robert, what do you hope to learn this year?
I think I have a lot to learn. I think it's going to be a great year. I'm always looking to improve and probably be a little more consistent. So playing conditions have to be really good, and hopefully the team and the staff has a really great year as well.
Well, this was awesome. Thanks to BASF for putting this together. This is an unbelievable group of superintendents out here, and if there are any young assistants or turfgrass students walking around here, come seek these guys out. I know that they probably don't have full staffs right now. I'm sure there are opportunities everywhere. And talk to them, pick their brain, give them a business card. There are a lot of great superintendents here that are looking for young, enthusiastic help. So these are definitely 4 people you want to make a connection with if you have the time. And also, one last thing here. Remember, there's a Twitter contest. Use hashtag BASF Groundbreakers and hashtag GIS 2020 for a chance to win a pair of Costa sunglasses, which I think you would need on Cape Cod if it's as glorious as everyone makes it sound. 2 winners will be randomly selected this evening and notified via Twitter. So thanks, everybody, and thanks again to BASF for putting this on and for all the support that they provide superintendents.